We have some technical issues. Yes. Can we go ahead? Yes. Okay. So yes, I am head of marketing and e-commerce here at Indiska. On my spare time, I enjoy dinners at the city, and I also have a huge passion for cats.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
Yes, I know.
We are wondering, who are you? We have over 200 participants here today at this hackathon from across all over the globe. We have members from India, Sweden, Mexico, Brazil, France, and from all over the globe. So that is super fun. We would ask you to just comment here below, where are you from, and maybe start chatting a bit with each other. So we hope that you are as excited about this weekend as we are. We want, and with your help, to challenge today's retail, how we at Indiska do our business, but also how the retail industry works in general. And most of all, we want you and us to have a lot of fun together.
Yes, but before we start, we thought we would give you a short introduction to Indiska as a company. And we are a lifestyle company, which means that we offer both fashion, interior, and accessories. And we were established in 1901, which means that Indiska is turning 120 years next year. So that is quite amazing.
Absolutely.
And Indiska was actually founded by Matilda Hamilton, a Swedish explorer that went to India and was inspired by the expressive cultures and beautiful patterns. Today, Indiska is a very modern styled brand with influences from across the globe and Scandinavia. We have currently 70 stores across the Nordics and a growing e-commerce. And we are focusing very heavily on our expansion, which we also want you to take into consideration when doing the challenges.
Yes, so as I mentioned, the reason for us hosting this hackathon is to challenge our current business processes and to find new innovative ways of doing things. And for that, we want your help. Indiska's vision is to be the forefront of technology within fashion and interior design, and to challenge the way this industry works. As an introduction to this hackathon, we will have 3 keynote speakers today. We have our own CEO, Karin Lindahl. We have Jonas Larsson, who is a senior lecturer at the Swedish School of Textiles. And we also have Jens Levin, who is the CEO of Sito. And thereafter, we hope that you will be inspired and ready to get hacking.
Yes, but before we talk to Karin, some practicalities. After the keynote speakers at approximately 5:30 p.m., the hackathon will begin. And then the deadline will be tomorrow at 6 p.m. set. And all challenges should be submitted before then on your Dropbox folders. All practical information can also be found in the information email, and you can also find it in the Discord channel. In the Discord channel, we have 4 amazing guys, Felix, Fredrik, Joel, and Petter, who will help you through the hackathon, answer all your questions, and just guide you through it. We will also, me and Anna, check in with you tomorrow morning to see how things are progressing.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely.
And I assume you're also very curious about the challenges, and we will present those after the keynote speakers. So,
Yeah. But now we are very happy to introduce our CEO and owner of Indiska, Karin Lindahl. Karin is a inspirational leader who doesn't take no for an answer, but will always come and leave the room with a big smile. So please, everyone, welcome Karin.
Woo! Karin!
Thank you so much, Anna and Emma, for that introduction, and welcome everyone who's now listening to us all over the globe. So I wanted to take the chance both to welcome you all to Indiska's first hackathon, but also the first hackathon here in Sweden with retail focus, and also do a sort of background of Indiska, the retail industry, what trends we see, and also what challenges that we're facing, so that you get a bit of framing for the challenges that you're going to solve within the next 24 hours. Great. So I'm going to kick off with some of the key trends that we see in the industry right now and that we are discussing more or less every day here at Indiska, and I think that other retail companies within different corners of the globe are discussing as well. I had an old preparation of this before the pandemic, and I think some trends have altered, but some trends have remained the same since the corona pandemic. And we've agreed before this session that we will try to not focus so much on the pandemic, but focus on the retail and the future. However, it's needless to say that I think everyone now is thinking a lot about in different countries where retail exists of what will be the long and short-term effect, and not so much on the economy, but also on the customer behavior. What will happen to the stores? How much of a digital evolution has now sort of progressed faster than ever expected? And what will happen to shopping? How will people then dress up or interior differently when they are staying more at home or doing different things with one another? A second trend that has been big for a long time is, of course, Far East. And I think maybe 5 or 10 years back, retail was a lot about the US and the inspiration from US and what happened then. And then I think quite fast after that, China started to boom and has boomed now for many years. And China is very interesting to look at from a retail perspective, not just from a market perspective, but also from an innovation perspective. A lot of the innovation that we see right now come from Far East rather than from America. But there are also other markets around Asia that are huge, that hasn't really been that much in the press, but is also now booming, both in the physical retail space, but also digitally. When I started in retail or at Indiska 3 years ago, there were a lot of discussion around platforms, that retailers or brands shouldn't be on platforms because you're giving away of customer data, you're losing the connection to the customer, you're losing margins and so on. And I think from that point of, is it a yes or no, should you work with platforms or not, it's turned into a yes, you should work with platforms. So it's not if, but it's rather how and which one. So how can you integrate and how and which one should you integrate with? Where can you find a good match with your own brand and how can you make this profitable? Then we have the low price segment, and I think that's been very visible also throughout the pandemic. So a lot of the big box off-price retailers, they've continued to have a great growth. And the price pressure that we see both within those big box retailers, but also in the margin pressure that we see, I think that's a game that everyone who's not willing to be in that space, they need to step up their game in terms of branding. So it's a much more polarized market now. It's either low price or it's brands that are working with quality, brand and so on. And I think a lot of retailers are discussing which one should you be. Should you go more low price and try to bargain yourself throughout the market, or should you focus on brand? Sustainability, of course, must be on this list and have been on this list for, I think, many, many years as a big trend, and it just continues to boom. And interesting enough, I think sustainability as a word got a lot of friends in terms of the sustainability area last year, because then there were also a lot of discussion not only on sustainability, but also on diversity, the whole Black Lives Matter movement, also around how people display themselves, what type of models they show, how diverse they are in their outlook, and also inclusion. So how do they treat their personnel and how do they include their personnel in the everyday work? Material, which is also a hot topic, and I think we're going to see a lot of new interesting material in sort of the signs of sustainability the coming years. And then the two last parts is around stores. I assume that we're going to have a lot of fantastic ideas around the digital element, which we love, and we love the e-com growth that we see. But we also need to take into consideration that there is a lot of stores out there that also need to play their role in this omnichannel climate. And I think there are two parts of this. One is that I think everyone who now runs a retail company sitting in different conference rooms and discussing is how do we regain visitors back to the physical stores? And that's not just because of Corona. That's way before that for years retailers have lost their physical traffic. And what should they do to win? And then I think also a lot of companies, the last one is I think a lot of companies have invested rather in the digital platform than in the physical stores. So I think either now it's a discussion of if you have a store, what do you do with it and how do you get it right? And if you cannot maintain it in the way that you want, should you then stay or should you close? And sadly enough, I think that we will see a lot of closures also going forward. And the sadness of that is that there is such a strong element around both having a store and e-com and how the channel drive each other. Right, I'm going to move from those trends and also to Indiska. And Anna and Emma just gave a, I think, really good background of Indiska. So I'm just going to recap what they just said. So very, very old company. I usually say that the old history that we have is just it's both a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because it has such a rich history with this woman, Matilda Hamilton, who grew up in Stockholm, went all over the globe, especially to India, China, brought home a lot of exotic interior and garments, and opened a store at Regeringsgatan in Stockholm. And I'm just thinking from a sort of women's empowerment perspective that was 120 years ago. That must have been very exotic at that time, that she actually went to, you know, way beyond what was expected, and she brought home a lot of products that no one had seen before. And then ever since that store opened in 1901, Indiska has developed. It was only home interior in the beginning, and then it transitioned into fashion. I think one of the parts that Åke Tambert, who then took over in the 50s, did right was that he understood very early on the purpose of sustainability. So what can you do with sustainability? How can you present organic cotton to customers very, very early on, and when basically no one knew what organic cotton was, and also work very, very closely to the suppliers that they had in India. And that was a huge success for many years, and the company just grew and grew and grew and grew with a number of stores, up until I would say 2010 somewhere, when also the digital evolution started. And then unfortunately Indiska was very late on digital. So Indiska was quite stuck in the physical network, had no element on digital, and also quite high cost base for the sales that they had. And then to be late on e-com, when e-com boomed, that was not a good thing. So there were a couple of years of struggling, and then I started 3 years back, or now 3.5, but then transitioned to CEO 3 years back, and then later also as an owner. And ever since then, I think myself and the team here has worked, you know, more or less day and night to try to really turn around this beautiful 120 years company. And a big milestone for us was last fall when we launched with Zalando, and that was also the first sign of having Indiska outside Scandinavia. And I think a big confidence boost for everyone working here that our products can actually sell in countries where we don't have any brand recognition. And that's also what we see in front of us for this year. So there's going to be a lot on international expansion. And I think up until now, we've spent six months more or less on what I call the war against the corona pandemic. But that war is soon to be over, and we can now continue to focus on what we love, which is then customer sales, growth, and then international expansion. Many times, I think people ask us and me and people who work here, like everyone is running away from this industry, and this has nothing to do with corona. That was also before. I think there's just tons of article around how retail is, you know, such a bad industry, and how hard it is and how tough it is, and why do you want to be there, and why do you want to be in the management team, or why do you want to work in any of the teams, or why do you want to be even an owner of a retail company? And there are a couple of elements that I see with Indiska that I like to also convey to you, why myself and my team think that, you know, we will be in this market another 120 years. First, I think it's the lifestyle concept, and I've already talked about that, but I think it's something very special to be so early and have that rich history of just both blending the home and fashion together. There's almost 99% brand recognition in Sweden, and as I said, that comes both as a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing that so many knows what Indiska is, but sometimes it's also a curse because it comes with a lot of prejudice, what we should do and shouldn't do, and who we are and who we're not, and so on. But of course, we love that. We love that there's so many customers that knows us and likes us. Then in this customer club that we have, there are a lot of customers, and in the members club that we have 1.2 million customers, and that's quite a lot compared to the revenue that we have. And they are just, we continue to count, and that's also one example where you can see the combination of the physical store and digital, because we recruit a lot of members in the store, and then we transition them to e-com, and then the other way around, that they also find us online, and then they go to store and they become a member. And that's something, of course, that we want to tie into when we grow into other markets. I think no brand is unique. Everyone has a lot of competitors, and retail is a highly, highly competitive market. But if you're going to be on that highly competitive market, I think it's good to have something that at least makes you stand out a little bit. And I think that Indiska has that. I think that Indiska has a lot of elements that sort of distinguish us a bit from the rest in terms of the patterns we present, the colors that we have, the fitting that we have, and also the range of assortment that we offer. And of course, the combination of lifestyle products. And we just need to stay on top of being sort of, you know, in some way a niche player where we have something that is a bit unique, but not so unique that we become out of sort of the everyday life of the customer. We still want to be a part of the walk that you're doing on town. So if you walk around and you do a shopping stroll, we want to be included in that stroll. We don't want to be this niche brand that you only visit maybe once a year. Then we have the store network. We have around 70 stores today, and I think the good thing of that we have had stores for many, many years is that they were there early on, so they usually have very good locations. They have good locations in malls, they have good locations in the streets they are, and now also when we launch a new e-com platform this spring, it's growing crazy, and we just work very hard to keep up with the growth that it offers. The two last parts is around people, and then there are two, I think, ingredients here. One part of people that you sometimes forget when you talk about the company is the supplier network that we have. And I think that Indiska has had some suppliers for a very, very long time. Some product suppliers that we work with that are now in their 50s started to work with Indiska when they were 15. So they have a very, very long history with Indiska. And then I think that the new suppliers that we have taken on board, both when it comes to technology, but also when it comes to product, has really proven to be modern, fantastic partners to work with. And then, of course, you have the internal team. And one thing that always makes me happy is to find and surround myself of people who are as passionate and excited about Indiska as I am. And I think that's the key, that there are the people who work with us here at the headquarters and at the stores really want to do this. And of course, we hope that some of you who are now listening to this is also excited about this journey. This was 3 years ago that I started working with Indiska intensively, and I think we've learned a lot. Some things that we've learned has been very painful, and a couple of those painful lessons learned. First of all, I think there are no shortcuts when it comes to product. The product is absolutely key. And there's no shortcut when it comes to quality, fitting, the right style, the right design, patterns and so on. So each perfect needs to be perfect. If it's not perfect, then it's not sellable. And I think we have come a long way on this very intense product focus that we've had. However, no products is, I think, some products that we have, it doesn't matter if they have no pictures, they're the back of the store and so on, then they still sell. And I think that's a really, really good product. But some products, in order to sell, even if we think that they're perfect from the beginning, they also, of course, need a lot of marketing to boost them. And I think here we've struggled with a lot of different communication messages. And what we've learned is, one, we need to really dig deep into customer research to understand what our positioning should be. And then two, we need to stay consistent, because if we change messages all the time, it's going to confuse the customer, and we're not going to get across in all of the marketing messages that are out there. Then invest in technology. Usually when I visit one of our stores or other stores, but especially of course our own stores, I want to have a look at the warehouse in the store. Because if the stock room or the warehouse is nice, clean, organized, then I know that the store is working. And I think it's the same thing with technology. If the technology is old, slow, and doesn't cooperate with other systems, then it's impossible to build new or better technology on top. So we have spent a lot of time the past 1.5 years to exchange all of the system. And here there are definitely no shortcuts. So I think my first 1.5 years, we tried to build on top of the systems and create shortcut. However, that didn't work. So the past 1.5 years, we have instead taken the burden of investing in new technology and step by step change every system so that they can become solid, fast, and modern. Last part is around channels. Sweden is still a quite small country when it comes to retail. And we are very big during summer. Summer in Sweden is a lot about the weather. So if the weather is sunny, great. If it's raining, not so good if you sell summer dresses. And I think a lot about our business has also been around, even if we have great messages and great product, where do we sell them? Do we sell them in a channel with too few visitors? And I think that's also now what we notice when we go into other platforms, other countries, that maybe we can expand into countries with much more customers in our customer group. Still, of course, we're going to have the roots and core in Sweden, and we have that through also our design with the Scandinavian angle. But I think it's so important to find channels where you have and you get the opportunity to meet a lot of customers. I just want to share one part around communication, as many of you are going to work with us from many different angles, and one of the criteria that we're going to look at later on is also going to be around the tailoring to Indiska. And a couple of things to know then is that the purpose and the position that we try to present is that we want Indiska to inspire in everyday life. That can mean a lot of things, of course. But the main associations around inspiration that we want the customers to have is, of course, that it should be inspiring overall. It should also feel very inspirational to walk into our stores, to visit them, but also to come to the e-com site. And then what inspiration means, then you can innovate in any way. So anything that is inspirational, we love. When it comes to colors and patterns, that's something that we are very good at. But rather than talking about the different colors and patterns, we want to talk about how this strong element really lights up an outfit or lights up your home. So we want to be this blend in Scandinavia, where we have this very interesting prints and pattern and blend them with the Scandinavian design, and so that they also fit into a Scandinavian climate. Both in a Scandinavian home, but also in a Scandinavian workplace or street, a party, and so on. But we still want to be this eye-catching moment in those workplaces, parties, and home. And then there are three quite basic criteria where we feel that we have done a lot of work that maybe we haven't communicated so hard up until now. And that's around the wide range that we have. Some people think that, oh, but you only sell things from India, or you only sell colors, and you only sell, but we have a really, really broad range of other products as well. We have really good fitting, and that's something that we've worked enormously on the past 2 years. And we have a really, really good basic assortment in good quality to good prices. That's something also that is important for us to convey and inspirational. And I think what this boils down to in terms of a customer promise is that we want to be this place where there's always more to discover. And more to discover also have endless possibility when it comes to inspiration. But we should surprise our customers so that they always have a purpose to come in and say, what did Indiska think of now? You know, there's going to be something exciting happening there. So there will be more to discover. So that's a key word for. Emma and Anna is going to present the challenges in detail, but to give them a bit more perspective from what we are working on right now, I just wanted to highlight some of the challenges that we are thinking of and discussing that you also can take into consideration. And some of them are more or less a one-to-one match with the challenges that we will present, and some of them are more ingredients or can blend in to give you a bit more of background of the challenges that we present. The first one is around content. So now when we have what we think great product and what we think a very strong positioning that we want to convey everyone with, we need a lot of content. And I think there are just endless of ways where we want to have a lot of more motion. We want to transition this to different countries, and there's just no end of how many motion or pictures or elements that we want to present, because every time when we show the clothes online and how they look live, or we present photos on Instagram, we know that impacts the relationship with us and also of course the sales. Then we have the position around home interior, and I think, I mean, the product has gradually developed in the right direction. And when I meet people, most people say, oh, but Indiska is mostly around home interior. And I think that's where we started, and that's the area where we had the strongest brand for a long time. But it's a smaller part of sales, and also I think a very competitive space right now when a lot of chains is also starting up their home interior. So we call it that we want to reclaim this position, because we have a lot of fantastic products, but we've worked so intensively on fashion for a long time. So now we feel that it's also time for home to shine. Then we have the future of the stores, and that's an own challenge in itself. What should the store look like in the future? And I think a lot of people have ideas around this, how it should look and so on, but how do you make it practically work? We have the international adaptation, so there are a lot of countries where we want to enter now, and how do we do that without too much personnel, and how do we do this with speed? I think when it comes to cost, there are a lot of tech challenges that we're going to present, and working for a long time with our costs, but still in proportion to the sales we have, they're a bit too high. So in terms of automations, smart IDs, smart cost savings, we're all ears to hear them. And then of course sustainability, and I put down sustainability that matters, because I think there are a lot of ideas around sustainability, but really find the ones that both matters from a sustainability perspective, but also matters for a customer. So it's a very important part of our DNA, but how do you make relevant to the customer and not just a word? And then finally, the right talents, and that's one of the reasons why we're doing this. I think throughout the time I've been here, there's been a gradually development of people, and I think we have a very, very strong team in place right now. And one of the things that hinder us from growing even faster is to get the right people. If we have the right people on board, we see magic happen every day. And we hope that some of you out there could be the right people, and we're so excited to see what you have and what you're going to show us later on. That's that, and I just want to say thank you for joining us, and best of luck, and I'm so much looking forward to seeing all of the challenges in 24 hours.
Thank you, Karin. We have actually one question from the chat.
Oh, exciting.
Yes, and I think this is maybe something that the participants always can think about in the challenge as well. So the question is, going through challenging times, you mentioned working 24/7 basically, how do you keep energized?
Should I?
Yes,
I'll jump
Join
in
us in the sofa.
in the sofa. Great. I think that's a very good question. I think the best way, and maybe it sounds like something that you say, but I think the absolutely best way is to surround yourself with good colleagues, and you need to have those colleagues at work that makes work not being work but being life, because then when you come to work and get exciting and see your colleagues and you work for the same purpose, I think that's the way. That's the way to stay motivated.
Yes, we are a good team, I would say.
Yes. All right, so we will now move on to our next speaker, and that is Jonas Larsson, who, as I said previously, is a senior lecturer at the Swedish School of Textiles, located in Borås, here in Sweden. Jonas will speak about how we, the fashion industry, can be the beacon for a clean, just and thriving circular economy. So, and Jonas will also be available in the chat during this presentation. So if you have any questions, just go ahead and write in the chat and he will do his best to answer. So welcome, Jonas.
Hi, and welcome to this presentation about the ideal factory. My name is Jonas Larsson. I come from the Swedish School of Textiles and Science Park Borås, and I'm very happy to have this small presentation for you here for this hackathon. The vision that we have about the ideal factory is an apparel and textile industry that in its own operations are good for planet Earth. So, if we look at sustainability right now, how is the industry performing? Well, if we say that 0 here on the vertical scale, that means that you have no impact at all. It's net zero impact. And minus 100 means that we're doing absolutely nothing to have a sustainable industry. Then the industry right now is performing at something like minus 60. And that is quite terrible. So we have to do better. And we have until 2030 to do that. So our idea about this is that we use the Sustainable Development Goals to reach a sustainable state of the industry until 2030. So you could say that we have a decade of transformation ahead of us. But the way we see it is that this is not quite enough just to have a sustainable industry. We have to start thinking about a regenerative industry, an industry that gives back and restores the damage that we have done. And for this, we look at, can we have positive impact in some way? This is, of course, at a very aspirational level. There are a few unicorns here that people are talking about, but nobody have seen them. But our approach to this is that we work with regenerative agriculture, the ideal factory, and a transformative community. And because these don't come only one, they come in 3. And we're going to focus here on the ideal factory, but regenerative agriculture and transformative community is equally important as the other. So I'm going to highlight that as well. Also very important here is that we have a system perspective and a design perspective. The system perspective, because we don't want to forget any parts of the system while we're doing this, and the design perspective, because what we do has to be beautiful, otherwise it won't be of use for anybody. So, what is the ideal factory then? What do we look at? Well, it is a factory without overproduction or waste. We could say it's a company that only produces what the customer wants and can take care of garments in a circular flow. And on the left here on the screen, you see an image of the components of an ideal factory. You have virtual tools for design and sales, local flexible manufacturing. We keep track of what is happening in the use phase with the garments. We have efficient transportation. We have efficient reflows, so we can take care of the garments when they have been out at the customers, and we can redesign them, remake them, or take the material out and make completely new garments. And of course, we measure this with any type of sustainability indicators. So the components here are a circular production system. This is key. And this is also a new way of looking at production, because normally we produce and we sell at one point and then we forget about the garments. But now we have to start to think about how do we take them back and how can we remanufacture them or remake them or redesign them in an efficient way. We need a flexible setup for this new and remanufacturing. We have to start to think outside the ordinary manufacturing in order to build this type of new factories. This can, for example, be micro factories. This is small units located in the city, in basements, for example, that can do both new and old manufacturing. We have to think about resource-efficient distribution. If we're going to have a decentralized manufacturing, we need also a logistics system that can cope with this. And we're going to come back a little bit later to that. We also need digital tools for design, production, and sales. And this is what you saw here on the right. I'm going to see if I can start this again. Yes. So here, what we've done here is we've built an avatar that you can. It's a digital fitting room essentially, where you can try out and customize power hoodies from Houdini and have them made to measure. So you pull the sleeves there, or pull the body a little bit and make it longer, a little bit cozier, and then you send it off and you buy it, and it's manufactured. It takes approximately 3 hours to have it delivered. For this, we need new types of equipment. We are experimenting with robots. For example, here we have the ABB Yumi robot, which is a collaborative robot. We are also experimenting with new type of embroidery machines, and these machines they dye the embroidery thread in the machine. So we have unlimited number of colors directly in the machine. So we don't have to have any thread on stock, but we can make all colors. And we're gonna fit this to knitting machines and weaving machines as time goes. But this opens up for a lot of flexibility in the value chain, since we don't have to keep yarn or thread on stock more than the color white. We have made a few of these projects. The first project we did around redesign and remake in this type of ideal microfactory setting was the Cheap Monday project. Here we made we took garments, workwear from Berensend, the laundry company, and these were garments that were worn, and they could not be used in their setting anymore. So what we did was that we rebranded them with the Cheap Monday logos, and made fashionable garments out of workwear essentially. And these garments were sold at, for example, Cali Roots and other high-end streetwear stores. We also did a project with Monkey where we set up a microfactory in a store, both in Gothenburg and Stockholm, and we had the consumers to come in and use this type of very flexible printing machine. So they could print on any garment they wanted, or they could print on shoes, and Monkey supplied then with prints that had the sort of Monkey brand to it. And to make this experience a little bit more fun for the consumer, we also built this 3D configurator, so they could play around with the prints that they wanted on beforehand and see how that would look on the garments that they wanted to print on. To give an idea, but also to keep the customers entertained when they were waiting for the printers to be available for them. Yes, coming back to this resource-efficient delivery, we are also, in order to have make this ideal factory reasonably profitable, we have to have efficient logistics solutions. So here we are involved in a project called Hugo. It's a small delivery robot. It can carry up to 70 kilos and drives with approximately walking speed, and it can drive on sidewalks and in the city centers. Hugo is an abbreviation for Here You Go. And it has already had its first circular assignment. It did some testing together with Something Borrowed, which unfortunately up until recently was a clothing library service, and they finished their business just a week ago. So we're sad about that. But this was Hugo's first circular assignment. Yes, the other part of this system, the transformative community. Here we are working on a national basis with fact movement, where we try and we help fashion consumers or fashion users to consume fashion more sustainably. The idea is that the consumers, they should be able to consume more fashion, and they should be able to express themselves exactly the way they want, but at a lower environmental impact, or perhaps at almost no environmental impact. And the results from the first fact movement that we did here 1 year ago was that all the factivists that were involved, they increased their fashion consumption, but they almost eliminated their environmental impact. So this means that we can consume fashion, we can consume more fashion than we do today at a lower environmental impact. And I think this is a significant result. One result also from the Fact Movement project was that people are willing to have electronics in their garments, like RFID tags or Bluetooth tags, things like that, if it's beneficial for them. So we thought that maybe we can build a system with talking garments. So we fit a little microchip in the garments, a microchip that speaks to your phone. We build a system around this, and we make garments that speak. So the garment can say, for example, to you, hey, I've been sitting in your wardrobe for the last 6 months. Don't you love me anymore? Oh, sorry. I've been taking you for granted. I'll give you more attention in the future. I promise. And then everybody's happy. But it can also be the other way, that your garment asks you, hey, I've been sitting in your wardrobe for the last 6 months. Don't you love me anymore? And then you answer, it's not you, it's me. I've changed and we are not a match anymore. Okay, you want to sell me? Yeah, you'd be better off with someone else. And then the system asks, there's actually one who is willing to pay 40 euros for me at eBay. Should I sell me? Yes. Okay, can Hugo pick me up tonight? Yes, at 8 o'clock. Okay, great, pick up at 8. And then everybody's happy. The third part of this new system is regenerative agriculture. And this is going to be significant in the future because we see that regenerative agriculture is good for biodiversity. And we also see that biodiversity is decreasing a lot and has done for the last 10 years. Regenerative agriculture is already applied at some level in cotton and wool industries. But we have to remember that synthetic fibers are currently dominating the industry. And the industry is right now at 107 million tons of textiles. And out of this, approximately half is polyester, and 1% is wool, 6% is plant-based, cotton is 25%. And then the rest is other synthetics. So it's a long way, and we're probably not going to be able to exchange all fibers to regenerative crops. But if we can at least work with cotton and other plant-based fibers, then at least 30% of what we manufacture would be of regenerative character. We see some examples of this already. For example, the North Face climate beneficial Cali wool beanie. It's a wool beanie made where the sheep has grazed in a way that is regenerative for the soil. And this means that it harvests carbon from the air and puts it down to the soil. Our take on this is started with the idea of mono no avare. It's a Japanese expression that means to appreciate the transience of things. And the idea comes from the cherry blossom. that the cherry blossom lives for a very brief period of time, and then it dies and it becomes nutrition for the tree again, and the tree grows and it can grow new flowers, and it goes on like that. The same idea applies to these type of garments that we make. We say that they are designed to die, and we do this together with a company called Goringo Design Studio, and the project is called Stream Materia, meaning we stream garments, and you don't actually own these garments because they decompose after only 48 hours. We make them in a sort of micro factory, ideal factory setup with a 3D printer, and as you see here on the left. And the garments are built up exactly the same way as a leaf is. You can see here the Puma garments with the veins, the black veins, and then the white coating that is the sort of the cover against the wind or water or whatever. And Puma picked this up last year to have it sort of like a concept to show the people who work at Puma that this is how we want to think towards the future. We want to think circularly in a new way. So, by thinking in this way, thinking about the ideal factory, thinking about how the ideal factory works together with regenerative agriculture and the transformative community, we can create an apparel and textile industry that possibly has a positive impact on planet Earth. We will now go look at a small exhibition and also at some machinery. So come with me. Here we are in the Textile and Fashion Center in Borås at the Swedish School of Textiles and Science Park Borås. And behind me we have the Do Tank Center, where we have our innovation space, our little ideal factory as we see it. And we're going to walk in there and have a look at the different equipment that we have. So come with me. So first here we have our the color reel machine. This is the machine that I spoke to you earlier about that dyes the thread or the yarn directly in the machine. You can do any color you want. You can have one yarn with 100 different colors on, while you normally can have one. And then it creates this type of very vibrant embroideries, but this can also be used on knitting, for example, within a few years. Then we have our little robot here, the Yumi robot, and our plan is that we're going to teach this little one how to knit. So towards next summer, it's going to be able to work together with the knitting machine to make the knitting processes a little bit more efficient. And in the back here, we have our 3D printers. These are normal type 3D printers, but we have rebuilt them a little bit. We also have our cutting table on which we can do small series manufacturing, both of remanufacturing and new manufacturing. We can also equip this cutting table with different types of tools, such as 3D printing and stuff like that, to make it a bit more useful. Here we have the 3D knitting machine. It knits without any seams. So when the garment comes out of the machine, it comes out in one piece. This is very good because we don't need any operations after knitting. We don't need any sewing. Sewing is very costly to have in, for example, Sweden and other high-cost regions. So, and this machine takes approximately 1 hour to knit a garment like this. Here I'm going to show you some of the results from this ideal factory or from this micro-factory environment. These were concepts that we did during a hackathon called Big Do last year. And there were 5 concepts, and they all addressed the circular economies in different ways. So the first one we're going to look at is a girl called Naomi Bailey Cooper from London College of Fashion. She worked with chemical technologies to restore garments to how they originally looked in the store when you first bought them and you first loved them. But for different reasons, they have for example, started to pill or degrade in other ways, aesthetically or functionally. But here we have used an enzyme washing to restore the garments to its original shape, form, and color, and also the softness is the same as it was from the beginning. The next concept we have is we did it together with Craft Sportswear, and we took it was dead stock, so things that hadn't been sold. We took it and we, in a micro factory setting, we remade these garments to, for example, this crop top and this yellow dress was made out of 2 t-shirts, and now it works well as sort of a gym outfit. And this is a typical remake example of remake. Here we have Gina Tricot, same concept as Craft with the redesign and the remake. While it was in the Craft example, it was dead stock that we remade. In the Gina Tricot example, it was returns from the consumers that we remade into new garments and new outfits. The same setup in a micro cut and sew factory, and the materials are mostly polycotton mixes. And the next concept here is from Houdini Sportswear. This is fully circular concept, and it's fully circular in the natural cycles. What we've done is that we wanted to only have one material and only wool. So we have used the 3D knitting technology, and using that we have functionalized wool in a better way. So these are examples of more windproof, more water resistant, and more breathable wool constructions that Houdini will have in their garments in the future, so that you only have to use one material, and that's only wool. The last concept here is the stream materia concept. The garments these garments are supposed to last for only 48 hours and then start to biodegrade. The future idea is that you should be able to throw these in the compost or dig them down in the soil, and they will disappear in a short period of time. As you see, these garments have already started to decompose. They are much older than 48 hours, but they are decomposing. And this is, as with Houdini, this is a fully circular in the natural cycles. So the Gina Tricot example and the Craft example, they have technical fibers in them. They are not biodegradable in the natural cycles. But the Houdini example and the Goringo example are biodegradable in the natural cycles.
Well, thank you so much for that presentation, Jonas.
Yes, and now over to our third speaker, Jens Levin. Jens Levin is the CEO and co-founder of Sito. Sito is a cloud-based point-of-sale system that we use in all of our stores. And Jens will talk a little bit about embracing the digitalization of brick and mortar. Over to you, Jens.
Hello everybody, my name is Jens Levin, and I'm here today, and I'm super happy to be here today. So first of all, I would like to thank Indiska giving me the opportunity to be here today. And today I will talk about something that I'm really passionate about, and that is how to meet our new ways of shopping. And I will talk about embrace the digitalization of brick and mortar. But first of all, I just want to give a quick second about the company that I'm representing. We are an MPOS solution, as you said, a cloud-based MPOS solution and a unified commerce platform. We are focusing only on retailers, and the most of our customers are within fashion. And I'm here today because we have a great partnership with Indiska, and we are in there together with them in their digitalization journey. Okay, let's start. Embrace the digitalization of brick and mortar. That is you can talk a lot about this, but I would like to start with some comments regarding the COVID-19. As everyone understands, COVID-19 has hit retailers hard, but among the concerns there are great opportunities. And today we will try to focus on the opportunities. And the interesting thing here with COVID-19 is that has been an accelerator for the digitalization. So some people have told me that the past 6 months is like 3 years of evolution. So in 6 months we have transformed the entire consumer behavior for a period in 3 years. So that means that the last 6 months have been actually 3 years of evolution if we didn't have any COVID. So COVID is something that will digitalize the consumer shopping behavior even more. And a survey that came out the other day said that the most of the retailers today, they understand this. And they will focus on increasing their activities in the digitalization transformation. So they will invest more and they will try to adapt to this new consumer behavior the best they can do. But before we talk about this, I would like to also mention that physical stores are a super important element in the shopping behavior. There is a survey that came out in UK saying that 90.4% of all UK retail spend is influenced by stores. That means that only less than 9% are pure online sales. So what I'm saying here is that the stores are super important for the online sales. But as well as the stores are super important for the online sales, the online are also super important for the in-store sales. So 76.8% of all UK retail spends is influenced by online. So that means that both of those two worlds that we are in today are blending together. So we are not so much buying stuff in one channel today, we are buying stuff in the both. So that is something that we have to address and have to adapt to. And if I dig into those numbers that are online plus store, you can 4.9% online sales are inspired of store. That means that if there are a store close by where you live, the sales online are increasing in that region. That is something that you usually call halo effect. But also click and collect is increasing a lot. That means that you buy something online but you pick it up in the stores. So the stores and the online are super connected today. So you can't divide those. You have to work with them as a team. And the interesting thing here is that there are a lot of surveys. One of the last surveys I've read was a survey that came out actually in June this year, during COVID. And that said that £8 or 8 sterlings, as a UK person should say, of 10 spent in 2025 will be still influenced by stores. So the stores are far from dead, but they are in an evolution, in a transformation. And that is something that we will address today. So when we talk about retail, when we talk about the future of retail, we need to remember that we are still humans. We love to interact with other humans. We love human beings. We are not wolves. We are something that love to interact with other people. So we are still humans, and that means that this is something that will never go away. And because we are still humans, the stores are super important. and human-to-human experience are perfect to building trust. It's very, very hard to replace that with the digitalization. It's impossible. You can build a lot of trust online, but human-to-human experience are the most heavy trust builder in the world. So you have to remember that. But of course, technology, I love technology. I'm in a tech company, I built up a tech company. So technology for me is something that I'm super passionate about. But technology can improve the experience your associates give to your customers. So if you use the technology in the right way, you get a super great consumer shopping experience. And that is something that we have to do. So, first of all, the first topic I have today is meet new ways of shopping. How do we do that? How are we supposed to meet our new ways of shopping? And as everyone understands, that the digital way of the digital lifestyle that we are in today that will just increase. We are using our smartphones, I read somewhere, 400 times a day. I know that some of the teenagers are using their smartphone plus 10 hours a day. So that means that the smartphones are today something that we are bringing with us all the time, and it's almost our brains today. So of course we need to adapt to our new ways of buying. So what do we need to do as a retailer? Yes, first of all, we have to look at the online and the in-store sales as one. For the consumer today, they expect that the online and the in-store are the same world. They don't understand, and they don't like when you have one world in online and another world in the physical world. You need to have the same. So what you need to do is that make sure that the products, pricing, promotions are the same all the time. They have to be. Before, for many years ago, we talked about online campaigns, like campaigns that were only for the e-commerce side, but that is not working anymore. So you need to have the same promotions and campaigns in the both worlds. You need to have the same customer data in the same both worlds. So you have to make sure that you know everything about the customer online, and you know the same when they enter a store. You need to have the same inventory visibility in the both worlds. You need to be able to see all the stock levels in all stores and online in all sales channels. You need to be you need to have access to those. You need to take care of orders and returns that can be handled in any channel. So it must be very smooth for a consumer today to buy something online and return it in the store, or vice versa. Flexible payments. I mean, before you could you were pretty strong if you were taking care of card payments and cash. Today the mobile payments are increasing a lot. So you need to be able to take care of different payment methods, like Swish in Sweden and Klarna in store and other payment methods that the customers would like to prefer to pay with. And then of course the fulfillment. You need to be really, really good in a fulfillment perspective. And you need to see all the sales channels as one world. And it should be easy for all your consumers to buy from all the inventories in all sales channels. And another challenge that we need to address is also that the consumer today, as I said before, are bringing with them their mobile phone all the time. That means that you need to have a real-time data across all sales channels. So you can't have like batches as we used to work with before, but in the consumer experience. So that means that you can't have any time differences. you need to have the same world in both channels, because the consumer are using their smartphones in the stores, and then they believe that the people that work in the store have the same world as they have. So the real-time data across all sales channels, that's super important. So everything is real-time. So you have two challenges. One is that the online and the physical world must be the same. And then it must be real data between all sales channels. And to be able to do this, you have to work with orders instead of receipts. Old point of sales used receipts, and that is in a concept perspective. That means that if you buy one thing, you can only buy that in that place. But if you work with orders, like e-commerce is working and the ERP systems is working with, that means that you can have different payment status and different delivery status on each receipt. So I can buy 3 things in a store and I get one over the counter, and the rest of the 2 will be sent home to me, or I pick it up in some other store. So you have to be able to have this flexibility. So therefore you need to divide the purchase, payment and fulfillment. You can't see them as one. You have to see them as pieces. If you do this omni-channel right, the customers have a 30% higher lifetime value. That means that the customers that are using different channels, they are actually more valuable. Strength in the stores are super important. I've just look at the watch, so I know the time. Okay, I'm sorry about that. But okay, strengths in the stores are also super important. We have to empower your store's associates. That means that you need to give them the toolkits that they have to be able to meet our new customer, our new shopping behavior. That means actually that they need to be more like experts. We need to make them stars. We can't have them as they were before, standing behind a cash desk, waiting for the customer to come and ask questions and just taking care of the payment. Now you have to transform the point of sales to become a point of service. That means that they need to be the experts in the stores. They need to be the passionate. They need to be passionate about what they are selling, because the most of the customers, they have done their survey and their homework online. So when they enter the store, they probably know more about the clothing than the people that work in the store, if they would not be passionate about what they're doing. So they would like to meet an expert. And to be able to be an expert in the store, you need to have all the product information, you need to have all the inventory visibility, you need to be able to take care of the customer and know about the customer. You need to take care of the customer in the way that the customer would like to be taken care of. That means that if the customer would like to buy it in the store and then to get it home, a home delivery, you should be able to handle that. So there are so many things that are different. And then you need mobility also. You don't want your salespeople and your experts in the store only taking care of payments. You need them to take care of the customers, to make sure that the customer feel that they are the queens and the kings in the store. So the customer experience in the store are super important. And therefore, give the technology that you need to give to the people that work for you. So they need modern technology, and I'm working a lot with that, so I will not go into that so much, but you need modern tools. And you need also be able to measure what you're doing in the stores. So you need to be able to measure the people, so they know that they are performing well. And in some cases, you might need to work with self-checkout stations. So you can use your experts in the store serving the customers instead of helping, instead of taking care of the payments. And the interesting thing that the people that have been working with self-checkouts, they can see that if it's very, very smooth to check out in the store, they buy more. And the evolution in the technology will just continue and continue and continue. And what we know is that when it's almost to steal stuff in a store, then you buy as much as you can. So if you shrinking down the friction, as if you make it easier and easier to buy, you buy more. So this will end when it feels like to steal stuff in the store, actually, and then the evolution is done. We, as I said before, have had the great opportunity to work with Indiska. And another thing about this is that modern technology also move the responsibility. So what I'm saying here is that a legacy system usually used a lot of field services, and you were not in charge of your own store. But with modern technology, the store managers, they are able actually to own their own stores in a much higher way. That means that new technology is, they are able to take care of the new technology in another way. So they don't need so much support. So we need to give more trust to the people that work in the stores, taking care of their own toolkits. And if you do that, the support decrease and they feel more passionate about what they're doing. And Indiska is a great example on that. They installed all stores by themselves, and that's super. The third thing that I think is super important, it's become an agile retailer. That means that you need to be super flexible, because we know that the digitalization is moving faster and faster and faster and faster. Then you need to be agile, so you can adapt to new behaviors out there. And the key here is game-changing technology and best-of-breed software with superpowers. And I will talk a little bit about that. The digitalization, as you know, let's see, is moves in a super high speed, as I've said. And what we can see, as higher speed the digitalization has, if it's going faster and faster and faster, you need, you can see that you need tools to take care of that. So you need experts. And in every different environment, there are specialists that are super good in CRM, that are super good in POS, super good in e-com, super good in maybe product recommendations, super good in gift cards, super good in different kind of areas. And to be able to meet this high speed, you need to work with experts. In the past, you went to one company when you bought systems. You went to this large consultancy firm and you said, hello guys, I have a problem. I'm running this great fashion company and I need some system support. And then they said, that's super great. We have this super tool that is made for any businesses in the world. Oh, wow. And you know, we can sell it to you, and then we take away all the spikes and make it smooth for your business. And you say, wow. And then you bought this system, and then you added like 1 million consultancy hours, and you put it in. That was how you used to work. And this legacy piece was doing everything in your mind that you could, I mean, they were doing everything. But the world has changed. It's not like that anymore, because that's a very, very slow way of working, and you get stuck in a consultancy world. So the new world is, let's see, the new world is actually a world where there are a lot of specialists, a lot of apps doing a lot of different things. So if you are a tech team in a retail company today, you need to be super interested to investigate new apps that are coming out there, to see how they could be made, how they can be used for your own company. And all those apps, they have great APIs. That means that ensures simplicity and freedom. So what that means is that if you have great APIs, it's very easy to implement those kind of apps. As well, it's very easy to take them away if they are not good enough. So the new world are not one monolith. It's like a lot of different systems that you need to build your own puzzle. And what's super important also is to make sure that the apps that you are picking loves each other. Because if they love each other, then they make sure that the integrations are always super. And they make sure that if they're changing something on one system, they will adapt to it. So this is the new world. And as an example, Sito is a point of sale, and we have open APIs as everyone else, and other systems are connecting to our API, and we are connecting to them. And what we can see is that there are more and more different kinds of apps that are more and more specific. So today there are like one app only working with product recommendations, another one only working with gift card, one working with RFID, one working with only returns, etc. So all the apps are just getting more and more and more. And you need to build your puzzle actually and put this together. And all those apps, because they are very niched, before you went to this company, if you had your retail business in Gothenburg, you went to a company in Gothenburg and you said, I need a help with a system, and you bought that from them. But because all the apps are more niche today, they are more specific in one area, they are global. That means that is super good for you, because if you would like to go outside your own market, then they are already compliant for the other markets. So they are global today, which make it much easier for you to expand your business. So embrace digitalization and meet new ways of shopping is all about being very curious about what's happening out there. You need to be super curious. You need to adapt to our new way of shopping. You need to adapt to new technology, and you need to be super curious and think that is great fun. So what I am saying here is that you have to understand that we are changing our way of shopping. But you have to also rethink all the time. You can't do that only once. And you have to remember that we are human beings. Don't forget that. Then you will be super successful. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jens. If you would like to come and sit over here, we actually have a question for you. Very interesting, and thank you for that. I was thinking about, you were discussing all these different apps. So when you're out in scouting the market, or what you believe in yourself, what do you see as the new coming trend or innovation that you see will have an impact on the retail market?
There are a lot of trends going on all the time, but you should always start that analysis to start from the consumer behavior. So if you follow the way the consumer is buying, you can grab the trend. So the trend is very seldom something that is coming out from a tech company. It's usually coming out from how the consumer is changing their behavior. So there are so many new great apps out there, and you should be super into analyze that. And if you can do that, you can find a lot of great apps.
Great, thank you. We have a question also from the chat. So what is your recommendation to a retailer that's going to start the digitalization journey? Where should they start?
They should start to look at other retailers that have been successful. A lot of people, they do the mistake that they think that they can make everything, invent everything by themselves. But the interesting thing is that there are a lot of retailers out there that have done a lot of great stuff. So what they can do is just to grab the phone and call them. And if you start to ask retailers that are close to what you are doing, then you probably found a great answer. So that is my advice. Start to do your investigation right.
Amazing. Thank you so much,
Thank
Jens.
you very much. Thank you for letting me be here today.
Of course. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, great. We are actually going to bring in Karin again. We understand that you are now getting ready and excited to hack, but before we get going, you should also get a presentation of the challenges. So thank you, Jens, and welcome Karin back.
Yes, so we will now present all the challenges that we would like your help to solve. And what we really want you to have in mind is that these are actual challenges for us. We struggle with these issues every single day, trying to find new solutions or a better way of working. So, as we said before, bring all your good ideas to the table and just surprise us with all your amazing innovations. So the first challenge is the store of tomorrow, which also Karin spoke a bit about previously. But Karin, please tell us some more about this challenge.
Right. So I think very interesting challenge, and also a challenge that I think more or less all retailers are looking at now. I think here it's endless what you can innovate and think of. I only have one conclusion from working in the store. I think we do that more or less every month, that we go out and we work in the store. And I think one key element with the store that an e-com site does not have is that you can get the product right away. And that's a very important USP of a store. So I think just take that into consideration when you think of the future of the store, that it's so important for a customer who walk into the store that he or she can get the product immediately, and don't miss out on that element.
Great. And then we have the second one, which is inspire with Indiska's signature print. Can you start out, Karin, by telling us what is a signature print?
Right. Excellent. So as you know, we have a lot of printed garments and also home interior, and here it's both an aspect of sustainability but also a sign of the brand. So I think what we would like to find, ideally from a design point of view, is a print that we can use for years and years and years, and we can use it for either pillows or napkins, or that it comes in different colors, but that it would be a print that we can, launch and launch and launch. That just goes very well together with our brand and becomes a signature print, in the sense that when people see that print in 5 years, they should think of Indiska.
Amazing. And then we have challenge number 3, which is very close to my heart, because as a e-commerce manager, you're constantly thinking about returns. And returns is difficult in many ways. First of all, it's very bad for the environment with double transportations. It's expensive for Indiska, and it's usually a hassle for the customer. So how do we reduce returns and keeping a very high and very good customer experience as well? Yes.
And the next one is very close to my heart. And I think you all know the upside of having the right product at the right place at the right time. Sales. But we also know that not having those things, we will miss out of sales. So this is a real challenge and something that we struggle with every single day. We would like you to help us out with a forecast manager that can help us to distinguish how we should, with the purchase volumes, both make sure that we have enough volume for that item, but also how to distribute it to all our sales channels, both online and in store. So that is challenge number 4.
Yes, and then we have challenge number 5, and that is about product reviews. So a core element to Indiska and our values is being authentic, and that means being transparent on where our products are from and how they are made, etc. And the best way to also convince our customers of our great products is to have them review them. But reviewing products is also a very timely thing to do. So how do we introduce product reviews while maintaining a very good customer experience?
Yes. Next challenge. Well, I think we all know how sad it is when you've ordered something and when it comes to your door, it's broken. But we also know that it's not very fun that you open up your package and you find the material used to pack it being more heavy than the actual item. And this is packaging is a substantial and very important aspect of retail, both when it comes to sustainability and to have a good experience for the customer. So we would like to challenge today's way of packaging, both when it comes to how we pack and with what material. So please bring your best ideas on this topic. I'm going to leave this to you now, Karin, for the challenge number 7, the constant dilemma.
Right. What to wear?
What to wear? So I think the key element of someone who's working in a store is, of course, to present a blend of products that will fit together. And we talk a lot about how the customer can get done. And what we mean with that is that it should be a simple visit where they visit us and then they get everything in one package. So when they come back home, they're dressed up and they don't need to go to separate store to find the other elements. In a store, that's something, of course, that a great store manager or store clerk can solve by being a very good stylist, seller, and so on, and present what to wear together. But digitally, that's a whole other challenge, and how to present products that really work together in an innovative way, so that everyone who visits us digitally can also get that sense of actually talking to a stylist and get that wardrobe feeling of getting the whole kit.
Very good. And then we have another challenge as well, the last one, which is called Impress Us. So that is basically for all of those very good ideas that didn't fit into any of the other categories. This is the one. This is the other category. And feel free to shoot whatever innovations or ideas you have.
Yes, but before we move on, we have gotten some questions for Karin from the chat. So we would like to ask them to you. First out is, could you tell us a bit about our customers?
Right, of course. So I would say the Indiska presents very much a population of women. So our customer looks more or less as the age population of any country. So they range everywhere from 12 years old to 85, which is, again, a blessing in terms of having that wide population that likes to shop with us, but also challenge as a 12-year-old is interested in something sometimes completely different than an 85-year-old. Sometimes not. Sometimes they fell in love with the same product. So we have an age representation across, I think, all age groups, with the average age in the store is around 45, and the average age online is around 35. Online, we also have around 20% male customers, whereas in the store we have the vast majority of women. And then I would say we have a blend of big city and smaller cities, as the same way as we have stores in both big streets in the bigger cities and also very small towns throughout Scandinavia.
Yes, and then another question. How do you think about our competitive landscape and who are our main competitors?
Right, very interesting question. I think there are, usually we talk about, when we talk about the customer group, then we look a lot around the other retail chains. So in Scandinavia, that would be the big retail chains within fashion. So that would be Kappahl, Lindex, H&M, and so on. And within home interior, that would be Hemtex, H&M Home, Zara Home, Åhléns, and so on. From an innovation perspective, I think we see also more and more pure online players tapping into our market. So I think that there are also, especially in the younger groups, there are also more pure e-com players that compete with us.
Good, great, thank you.
So, as you know, winning is not everything, but it is fun to win. And we have some criterias or more or less evaluation points that we will look at when we will look at your solutions. Yes, and Karin will also tell us about those.
Good. So I think the first one is that we want to have a height of innovation. So of course, as Anna said, we address these challenges all the time. So of course there are going to be elements that we have also thought about from the beginning, and that's fine, but we want to have also some newness to the perspective. So the more innovative you can be, the better, and the more new thinking we can add to the table, the more interesting it would be for us. Number 2 is practicality. So that then still is in contrast to we want it to be innovative, but not so innovative so that we can solve it 2040. We want the solution to be applicable within 1 year. So we want it to be as practical so that we can actually work with the winning team and solve that and implement it right away. Thirdly, we want it to be adjusted to Indiska. So we would like your solution to be tailored to us. So everything that you've heard now during the day, we want you to take that into consideration and really apply it to our business. And then the last one. Yes, and then of course the pitch. So I think a lot about convincing an idea is around the communication. So we will not just look at the brilliant idea, we will also look at how you communicate it and get it across. That's also very important for us in terms of convincing others. Yeah. Exciting.
Very exciting. Okay, so we are very soon ready to get started. And just a few reminders first. The presentation should be maximum 5 minutes long and uploaded to your Dropbox before 6 p.m. Central Eastern Time tomorrow. We will also check in with you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. to see how things are going. If you have any questions, just ask in the chat or send us an email. All the information is available in Discord, or you have received it also yesterday in an email. But just let us know if there are any questions.
Yes, so please go into Discord, find your team. As Emma said, we will have people ready to answer all your questions and thoughts. But with that said, we want to thank both our speakers and want to tell you, let's start hacking!